Hello, everybody. This is Kaput, two Germans talking about rock and metal. My name is Oliver.
And I'm Alex.
Welcome aboard. And today we're going to rank the catalog of Black Sabbath, 19 studio albums. And yeah, I think, Alex will agree with me. That was quite a challenge. Because not only does Black Sabbath have a lot of albums, but I think they haven't made a bad one. There are some that aren't regarded as classics, but I think they are still holding up, and there's lots to discover if you take the time and look a bit right and left of the beaten path. And yeah, so this one for me. I thought, well, I'll do it as subjectively as possible. So this is my list today, with no guarantee that it would be the same in, I don't know, a month or so, because there's so many good records. And yeah, I think let's just start. What do you say?
Okay, let's do
So,
it.
yeah, I'm going to start with my number 19, and I guess this might be the first little controversy on here because my number 19 is their last studio album. It's 13 um, from 2013, kind of the big reunion album they did with Ozzy. And this is a good album. I mean, it has great production by Rick Rubin. I think Black Sabbath, it's the album everybody had waited for like 30 years or something like that, or even longer. Um, and Black Sabbath certainly delivered with this album. Um, but it's on my last place because to me, I think if it would have come out today, we would maybe say it's like the AI Black Sabbath album, because it sounds exactly like someone would say a Black Sabbath album with Ozzy should sound. There are songs on there that are like carbon copies of old classics. And the main problem I have with this one is that for me, it's way too long. I mean, it's over 70 minutes long. Most albums clocking in at over 7 minutes. And yeah, to me, it starts to drag after a while. Um, it's a good album, but if I want to hear Black Sabbath, I would always go to the older ones. So this is my number 19. Number 18 is an album that is regarded by many people as maybe the worst Black Sabbath album, I think. It's the last one to come out before the reunion album. It's from 1995 and it's called Forbidden. I need to mention that when we are talking about the Tony Martin albums, we are referring to the Tony Iommi remasters that came out last year. So yeah, we're talking about the new versions of these albums, and that goes for Forbidden as well. That was yeah, almost kind of ridiculed when it came out because it was produced by Ernie C from Body Count, and there's one track with a spoken word part by Ice-T, and everybody was wondering what's going on there. Why is Black Sabbath collaborating with Ice-T? Who wants to hear that? But I think the album isn't that bad. You can hear the influence of alternative that was big back in the day in the mid 90s, and it's a bit yeah, you wonder, why does Black Sabbath emulate a sound from bands who were emulating Black Sabbath? Because all the big grunge bands, for example, were inspired by Black Sabbath and saying that they were thinking of Black Sabbath when they wrote their music, like Alice in Chains or Soundgarden. And now we have Black Sabbath, the originators of that sound, copying alternative rock or something like that. So yeah, I think Tony Iommi was a bit, yeah, didn't know where to go So he tried to stay relevant, and yeah, that didn't really work out. But the album isn't that bad, I think. So number 18, Forbidden. My number 17 is an album that wasn't supposed to be a Black Sabbath album. It's Seven Star, I think from 1980, is it 84, 85, something like that.
Yes, something
Um,
about that.
and Tony Iommi, it was supposed to be kind of a solo album by Tony Iommi. So, but the record company said, no way, this is going to be a Black Sabbath album. So on the cover it says Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi or something like that. It's very stupid. The
Ridiculous.
singer is Glenn Hughes, who was shortly after the recording, he was out of the band, I think because of alcohol problems, and Ray Gillen filled his spot on the tour. Yeah, I think it's the most 80s hard rock sounding album in their catalog, and it's a nice hard rock album, but it's nothing special. I think the opener is pretty strong, In for the Kill. I'm not a big fan of Glenn Hughes vocals, um, but it's a good listen. Nothing too special, nothing spectacular, just a good hard rock album, I think. Number 16 is from the Ozzy era, and it's one of the two albums that are, yeah, mostly maligned when talking about that era. It's one of the last albums. It's Technical Ecstasy, and it's a bit of a mixed bag, I would say. Band was coked out during that time. I don't think they remember too much about this recording if you ask them, and you can hear on this album because it's a bit all over the place, I think. They were trying different things. Not all of them worked, but there are still some pretty good songs on this album. I like the opener, and it has one of my favorite tracks right now. I love this song. Rediscovered it during this ranking, and it's the second one, You Won't Change Me. That's a pretty dark song, totally kick-ass song. I love that one. Yeah, the album isn't that bad, um, but it's certainly not one of the best of the Aussie years. And on number 15, I have another odd one from that phase in the late 70s, early 80s. It's the album they did after Ronnie James Dio left. It's Born Again. Uh, that is another album that wasn't supposed to be a Black Sabbath album. Um, but again, the record company said, well, this is going to be a Black Sabbath album. Ian Gillan from Deep Purple is singing. Some people said he wasn't a good fit. I don't know. I think he does a good job. He has a huge voice, obviously. But after the Dio years, this is a bit like a throwback to the 70s. The album is produced a bit murky. It's muddy sounding. Uh, the style, it isn't that melodic as the Dio albums were. And it's, yeah, more like a straight out rock album. Two instrumentals thrown in. So the sequencing is a bit odd, but it has three absolute killer songs, I think. That's Disturbing the Priest is pretty great. Zero the Hero is a cool track, and I like the title track as well, Born Again. So yeah, that's my number 15. Over to
Okay.
you.
So I think we have some. Yeah, let's see. I'll start with my number 19. Probably not very surprising. It is Forbidden, produced by Ernie C. And I think you explained it very well. Yeah, it's not a high point in their career, but I agree it's not really a bad album. The production is of its time, certainly. You can hear it is from the mid 90s, and yeah, definitely can hear the guitar sound of their contemporaries, like the Stone Temple Pilots, for example, or of course bands from Seattle, and yeah, I think maybe it was the record company to force them a little bit to work with Ice-T and Ernie C. I don't know, but it was kind of ill-advised, not really a good idea, but still, it is Tony Iommi. He comes up with some great riffs. My number 18 is another Tony Martin album. It is Cross Purposes. Maybe an unusual choice, I don't know. It has a very 90s production, I would say, and it's the most Sabbathy sounding of the Tony Martin albums, I would say. It has the most 70s Sabbath kind of riffs, but I think it doesn't have the songs. I don't like the songs here. I don't like the lyrics I'm not sure. Did Tony Martin write the lyrics as well? I think so, right?
Not sure. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think the vocal melodies are strong. I don't think the lyrics are strong. So this is really kind of a weaker Tony Martin album for me. Even though it sounds great, I like the production. Yeah, it's also a contemporary 90s production. My number 17 is, you mentioned it before, Born Again with Ian Gillan. Yeah, I agree. It's a very murky album. It sounds very. I think there was some mistake in the mastering. I think the band was also kind of disappointed when they heard the final product. And yeah, and now and over the years, some kind of mystique was created over this album, and some fans love it to death. Um, I not so much. Also, I mean, it was from an artistic standpoint, it was a very bold move because it is a very uncommercial album, I would say, compared to what will follow, and also compared to the Dio years. But yeah, I have never been a fan of Ian Gillan. He's not really my kind of vocalist, even though he has really vocal chops, undeniably. Um, but I also agree. Zero the Hero and Disturbing the Priest are the highlights of this album. My number 17. So my number 16 is 13, their latest album, The Return of Ozzy, and almost the original lineup, but without Bill Ward, unfortunately. But they had as a substitute drummer, they had Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine. On paper, it sounds kind of weird because he was kind of a funk metal guy. But I think he does a great job. He doesn't sound funky at all. He kind of emulated the sound of Bill Ward, and it totally fits to the old Sabbath style. And it really is a good album. But yeah, I think they tried to go back to their old uh, sound, to their roots, and it kind of works and it kind of doesn't work. I think, in my opinion, it's not really that. Yeah, sometimes you can't really go back. Yeah, I think it was kind of, they tried to emulate their old sound, and yeah, they kind of failed in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's great that we got another album from them. Yeah, but it wasn't as good maybe as we all hoped for. But still a good listen. So my number 15, you also mentioned it before, is Seventh Star by Glenn Hughes, uh, with singer Glenn Hughes. Of course, it is by Black Sabbath, if you want to call it a Black Sabbath album. At least it's on the title. I like Glenn Hughes a lot. It's one of my favorite singers Deep Purple ever had, and also yeah, if you compare all the Black Sabbath singers, it might be my favorite singer actually, but this is really is not a Black Sabbath album. It's a kind of 80s pop rock pop hard rock album, and it's a very good one. I mean, the ballad on here is super cheesy, but with a singer like Glenn Hughes, it still shines. I like it, so I really like it. And yeah, and of course the first track um, is also a highlight for me. I like the record pretty much, but I couldn't put it higher because it doesn't sound Sabbathy at all. So it's really weird to compare this to all the other more heavy stuff. Yeah, that's my number 15.
The title track is pretty doomy, I think. Seven Star.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
a rather dark track on that album.
But
Okay,
afterwards, it's the
yeah.
happiness is gone.
So I think I'm going to get crucified for the next two picks. And I have to before I say which album is my number 14, I have to say this is not a knock on that album. I'm just totally burned out on at least half of the tracks. It's a total classic. I mean, this is heavy metal and rock history, so this is a great album. If you don't know it, pick it up and listen to it. But I couldn't place it higher because three or four songs I just can't hear anymore, and it's their second album, Paranoid. Um, yeah, of course, I'm talking about War Pigs, Paranoid, Planet Caravan. Well, Planet Caravan is okay, but Iron Man, um, yeah, I have listened to that one way too often, and I don't want to hear it again. Um, the B side actually is pretty cool. I think Electric Funeral sounds a lot like Iron Man, so I'm not too hot on this one. But yeah, Hand of Doom and Fairies Wear Boots are pretty cool tracks. But yeah, this is my number 14 for now. And my number 13 is I think it's the first album by Black Sabbath I heard and I listened to and owned, and it's the debut album from 1970. I love this album, but yeah, the title track I have listened to I think 1,000 times. That's the same as Paranoid and Iron Man. I don't really need to hear it. Um, there are some other cool tracks on it, The Wizard, NIB, of course. But yeah, it's still a bit bluesy and um, yeah, a typical debut album. They didn't really know which way to go. There's some stuff on it that doesn't really fit, and yeah, they would grow from there, of course. My number 12, many people love this album, say it's one of the heaviest, is the comeback album with Dio from 1992, Dehumanizer. And I agree, this is pretty heavy. Looking back, it's um, it's amazing that they put this out during that time. I mean, Black Sabbath wasn't a big act in the during the 80s and early 90s. Tony Iommi, I think he was kind of lost. He didn't know where to go and what to do. And then they had the chance to do another album with Dio and put out an album that is really heavy. It's not that polished. I think the production is pretty rough, and it's a kick-ass album with great songs. But yeah, I don't know. I think it gets a bit boring after a while. It's a bit too long for me. Um, there's not too much variety on it. So yeah, it's on 12 for now. Maybe it could get higher. It's not a bad album. No, none of these albums we are talking about is bad. But for now, I did like it a bit less than all the albums I'm going to talk about from here on. My number 11 is the first album of the Tony Martin years. It's The Eternal Idol. I think the Tony Martin era is underrated. I think he did a pretty good job, and with the new remasters, I think these albums um, get the chance to be rediscovered. The Eternal Idol is a cool melodic hard rock album. Tony Martin is an underappreciated singer, I think. He's doing a good job. He sounds a bit of its time, of course. Um, and he's got cool songs on this album. The opener again is great. The Shining, the title track. I love this one very much. There's another song, I think, Ancient Warrior. That's cool. There isn't a bad song on here, I think. It isn't, and that's you could say that of any album during the Tony Martin years. Black Sabbath were innovators in the 70s. They invented a sound, and they're not doing that anymore. So what they're doing in the 80s is pretty much standard hard rock, but on a high musical level, I think. So that's my number 11. And number 10 is another album from the Tony Martin years, and you already mentioned it. It's Cross Purposes. I think that's a pretty good one. I was surprised. I didn't know it going into this. Um, Great melodies, great production, good singing. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe it's not the most memorable album, but yeah, I think I will listen to it again. I liked it going into this, and yeah, that's my number 10 for now.
Okay, so my number 14 is another Tony Martin album, and it's Tear or Tear or however it's pronounced. It's kind of I think it's not a concept album I've read somewhere, even though it feels a bit like it, but it's greatly inspired by Norse mythology. And this kind of 80s metal is not really my wheelhouse, to be honest, but I was surprised how much I enjoyed it actually. And I especially like the songs Valhalla. I think it's one of the best tracks. And also The Lawmaker, I think was also pretty good. Yeah, it's a very good album. I can really recommend it. Yeah, from here on, I would recommend every album. I don't think you need my 15 to 19 picks. So my number 13 is, I mean, yeah, it is another Tony Martin album. It's Headless Cross, the first one with Cozy Powell on drums, and yeah, and they also have keyboards on all already on the first one, I think. Jeff Nichols is playing keyboards. Also on this title track, and this is one of the very best Tony Martin songs. I would say Headless Cross. I really like it a lot. It is epic. It is really huge, and yeah, I think you could use it in a kind of in a war battle scene or something. It would really fit into a movie. Yeah, and it's a really good album. Very strong, very strong songs, strong material, and also good production. Yeah, I like it a lot. My number 12 is the first Tony Martin album, and I think it's really the best. I don't know. I don't really know why, because he came in late and the material had already been written, and he just sang it. But I don't know. I like really all of the songs. The Shining certainly is a highlight, but there are other great tracks like Hard Life to Love has a very innovative riff by Tony. You mentioned it, Ancient Warrior is great. The title track also, I mean, it has a quiet part and then builds up. I also like that one. And I have a feeling with Tony Martin, maybe I'm wrong, but he's not such a great melody writer, but a great singer. Because this time the melodies have already been written, and I like this one the best. I don't know, maybe it's just me, and I have to get more familiar with the Tony Martin material because Yeah, I didn't mention it before. Before going into this exercise, I did not know any Tony Martin album. And yeah, I liked Eternal Idol the best, and I also listened to it the most. Maybe it was that. But yeah, I think it's the strongest with him. And my number 11 is Dehumanizer, Dio's Return. I really was surprised how much I liked this album because it has an, I don't know, Dio has this all the time. It has an immediacy. It is really irresistible because he really, his melodies are so strong, his expression in his vocals is so strong. You're immediately in the song, he sucks you in, and yeah, it's great. It's melodic and it's heavy, and this is really a crushing album. I like this really a lot. I could have even placed it higher. I was really surprised about that. But yeah, here we are. I would later say a little bit more about my relationship with Dio when we come to the other Dio albums. And my number 10 is I agree with you. I'm also I have a similar relationship with the first Black Sabbath album. My number 10 is Paranoid. And yes, it's a classic. Some of their very best songs are on it. And yeah, my favorite tracks are War Pigs, Paranoid, and Fairies Wear Boots. To be honest, I never liked the rest that much. I have never been a big fan of Iron Man. Yeah, I don't know. To me, the riff is I never liked it that much. I don't like the part where Ozzy is mimicking the riff. So it was never my kind of song, but yeah. I don't know what it is, but and the songs in the middle of the album are kind of I don't know they're kind of real Aussie songs. They live yeah, if you like the Aussie charisma, I think people might like them more than me. To me, I like Black Sabbath more because of the riffs, not because of Ozzy singing. To me, he's not that this iconic frontman. I mean, I came a little bit late to the Sabbath party. Maybe I learned I saw Ozzy first on the TV show The Osbournes, and then I listened to Black Sabbath. So it's hard to. I think you get what I mean. So this was my number 10. Back to you.
Okay, so let's get on with the Tony Martin era. My number 9 is still from 1990. And yeah, this, I don't know. There are many people who don't really like this one. It's always touted as one of their weaker albums, but I think this is a strong one in their catalog. It's a little bit different, I think, because it has this epic feel, almost a bit like a power metal album, with Nordic mythology and all that stuff, and the songs having a more epic feel. I like this one very much. I like the opener, Enno Mundi. Um, Many cool songs. Yeah, then we have this thing that we often have in the later period Black Sabbath album, that you have all these songs that have these historic topics and titles, and then you have a song Feels Good to Me on there, which is kind of a bit like a power ballad, um, which kind of pulls you out of the album. And it's the placement is a bit weird, but otherwise, I think this is a strong album. I like it a lot. I don't know why. Yeah, why it gets slagged so often. I think it's one of their better late era albums. Of course, I have it on 9. So what would I say else? Number 8 is an album that's often regarded as one of their worst, and I really love it. Maybe it's just a recent phenomenon that I like it so much, but for me, it's a really nice rediscovery. Because I owned this album for a long time, and just now have listened to it again and was surprised how great it is. It's Never Say Die. The last one they did with Ozzy. The band was disintegrating at that time. Everybody was on drugs, being going crazy. Nobody liked each other anymore in that band, and they would soon go their separate ways. You hear it a bit because this is a far cry from the albums before sound wise. But man, there are some killer tracks on this album, I think. The opener is one of the great Black Sabbath rockers. And then Johnny Blade starts with these kind of retro futuristic synthesizers, really cool. Junior's Eyes is a pretty cool song. Air Dance is a bit more experimental, um, also great. Then they have this almost like jazz instrumental with horns and everything break out. Um, Man, there's so much to discover on that record. I don't know why everybody hates it or says it's weak. I really love it. Right now, I think it's one of their best albums and certainly one of their most adventurous. Um, my number seven is you talked about it. I think it's the best album they did with Tony Martin. It's Headless Cross. It's certainly an album. I think like with 13, everybody wanted an album like that, and I think that goes a bit for Headless Cross. But it wasn't cut out to be. It's dark and already the black cover, just black and white with that cross in the fog, and you have all these kind of gothic horror lyrics on there, and I think Tony Martin carries this nicely with his voice. I like this album a lot. Yeah, like I said, I think it's the best one they did with Tony Martin, and it comes out on number 7 in my list. Number 6 is another classic with Ozzy, and many would probably say this is placed far too low. It's Master of Reality. And yeah, cool album with many classic tracks on it. I mean, Sweet Leaf. Yeah, you could say this is another song I really don't need to hear anymore, but it's still a cool hard rock song. After Forever, Children of the Grave. I love Solitude. That's a cool track as well. Yeah, it gets some minus points for all those little instrumentals thrown in there. But yeah, that's an absolute classic. And if you want to get into Black Sabbath, you need to listen to this one, of course. And my number 5 is their comeback with the first comeback album they did after the departure of Ozzy. Nobody expected this album from then. It was kind of a resurrection, you could say. It's Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio, a classic of their own. I think it's amazing that a band who had this run with an iconic singer like Black Sabbath um, could replace them and be equally successful. I mean, that's kind of unheard of. I don't know if there's another band you could say that about. And this is a great album. I mean, there are so many great songs. Neon Nights is another fast rocker. Children of the Sea is a wonderful song. Heaven and Hell is great. Die Young is another hard rocker. Yeah, just a classic. If you're into metal, you can't get around this one, I think.
Okay. So my number 9 is their debut, Black Sabbath. Yeah, this is a classic for sure, and I'm sure you could place this higher. This has historic value for the title track alone. But also the album is very good. Not all songs are that dark, but I like all of them to be honest. The Wizard is great with its rhythm, great rhythm, and the harmonica. I like NIB a lot. The first time they got really melodic in the yeah, pre-chorus, I think. Then I like their poppy tune, their cover, Evil Woman, Don't You Play Your Games With Me. And also the Ainsley Dunbar cover called,
Dunbar.
called Warning. A very long song, very bluesy, but I like it. And of course, Wicked World. Um, so this is really a must-have if you want to get into Black Sabbath. But I like their later stuff, much of their later stuff more. And of course, the great album cover. You have shown it before. My number 8 is Master of Reality. Also an album you can place higher. It is a great album, and it is the I think the the inspiration for most stoner rock bands and doom metal bands, because I think this might be the album where everything started, because this was the album on which Iommi tuned his guitar down for the first time. I think he got even lower on later albums. And yeah, it sounds really great. It has a very unique sound. I like it a lot. It's very short. It's really, I think it's 30 minutes or something, or even less than 30 minutes. And yeah, my favorite tracks, Children of the Grave is yeah, one of my favorite tracks of Black Sabbath, and Lord of this World. It's also it has a great vocal melody. This is Ozzy, how I really like him. This is great singing and great riffs. Also a very great and maybe a little bit underrated song. You don't hear it mentioned a lot when people talk about the great Sabbath tracks. I also like After Forever a lot, which is quite interesting because in the lyrics, it's a very pro-Christian lyric, and for a metal band that is so much associated with the devil and evilness and blah blah. And Geezer Butler, who wrote all the lyrics in the early days, is to this day is a Christian, and I don't think he has. Uh, um, I don't know. It doesn't really fit with the image they have, because some people see this band too one-dimensional, I think, and it's a much bigger picture than many people think, I would say. But you can see it more on later albums. And yeah, but After Forever is a very interesting lyric. Um, yeah, Into the Void is also a very often covered song by a 90s band. I think Soundgarden covered it, Kyuss covered it, many more bands. It's a great riff. What I don't like about it is that Ozzy is providing the vocals kind of casually, not really singing, more reciting the lyrics. I don't really like that about it. He could, in later years, he gets much more powerful. Yeah, what's up, but still, very my favorite from the first three. The next one is the second album with Ronnie James Dio. It's called Mob Rules, with a great album cover. Maybe I think this is my favorite Black Sabbath album cover. It's really great. I love the production by Martin Birch. It's really heavy, and it really, yeah, it sounds really to this day, even though it's from 81, I think.
Yeah.
It really sounds heavy, and yeah, great songs like my favorites are the Sign of the Southern Cross and Turn Up the Night. It sounds very 80s, but I love it. It's really good. And Falling Off the Edge of the World I also like. and it's a very, very strong album. And fans of the Dio years, for many fans of the Dio years, this is even the best one. And yeah, I kind of can understand it, but I mean, you can guess what I prefer in this case. And it comes now. It is Heaven and Hell, also Martin Birch production. It doesn't sound as heavy, but it has the better songs, in my opinion. Because on every song, Dio kills it. Yeah. And I really, I have never been a Dio fan, to be honest. I never liked his big hit. What is it called?
Holy Diver.
Holy Diver. Yeah, I never liked that one, and I always thought, no, Dio is not really for me because of his pathos and his over the top vocals. But this album and also Mob Rules really kind of converted me after a few spins, and I really love this album now. It's really good. It is so accessible. It's kind of a very, very accessible version of early 80s metal. And yeah, Dio is a very, very good songwriter, and he has this, I've said it before, he has this immediacy in his delivery that it clicks immediately. I think with probably almost anybody. Um, what's also great about this album is the interplay of all the players, especially Geezer Butler's bass is mixed a little bit higher, and it is so crystal clear. You can hear everything what they are doing. Bill Ward is great again. And what's also remarkable on this album, I can't really think of another example where a band changed the lead singer. I mean, AC/DC changed it and had a big success with Brian Johnson as well. But Black Sabbath changed it, and they also changed their sound completely. It sounds totally different than the Ozzy era. They are faster, no doomy riffs anymore. It's more in your face kind of attack, a fast guitar. And this is really remarkable to have a rebirth of your band again with a new lead singer. And I mean, it really sounds like a different band, but of course, three members of Black Sabbath are in this band, and that's why they're still called Black Sabbath. Great, great album. Love it a lot, and I really was surprised about this. I didn't think I would like it that much. So my next pick is maybe a controversial pick, but I really like it a lot. It's Technical Ecstasy, the one with the robots on the cover, a hypnosis cover. Really, I think, in my opinion, an underrated album. I really don't understand why it has this kind of bad image. I mean, I think the reason probably is it doesn't sound like the old Sabbath. It's not heavy enough. It doesn't provide what people expect from Black Sabbath. So if you I don't know, if you screw with people's expectations, it's always difficult for bands, I think. So, but I really like the whole album. I like the production. I like the opener, Backstreet Kids. I like Rock and Roll Doctor, where Sabbath are trying to write kind of a Kiss song, I think. Or Dirty Women was the single. Yeah, it's really great. I think, yeah, also very adventurous album. Not what you expect from them. But yeah, if those guys were, if you put those guys in a room in the 70s, something interesting came up every time. So I really like it a lot. It's yeah, my number five.
Okay. So now it's going to get interesting. My number 4 is Sabotage. And many people, I know someone who would say this is their very best and maybe even the best album of all time by anyone. Um, and yeah, it's a very strong album, a near perfect album. And I think what you said about Ozzy, I agree. Ozzy is he's not really on the early Sabbath albums. He mostly provides his unique voice and a certain charisma, I think, but not much singing. But this changes, and you can hear it on this album, for example. And Sabbath got way more adventurous during this period, trying a lot of different things. Um, some would label this as a progressive metal album because there's so much going on there, and but they still managed to write great songs. I mean, the opener, "Hole in the Sky" alone is worth the price of admission, I think. But there's more. "Symptom of the Universe" is another absolute Sabbath classic. The song I want to mention, which I totally love, is "The Rit." It's the last song on the album, and it's dealing with their label troubles and business problems, and it's a very dark song. Yeah, really a great album with lots of stuff going on, different flavors. Um, I'm not that big on this. I think it was the single "Am I Going Insane?" I don't like that one that much, but otherwise, this album is flawless. Back in the day, I know it was always the first four albums that were highly regarded, and no one really talked about Sabotage. But I have the feeling this has changed in the last 20 years or so. And this is often regarded as one of their most interesting albums, of course. So yeah, that's my number four. And on number three is the album that came before it, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, with that great gatefold and the kind of mirror images, yeah, of the man on this side. He's tormented by demons in his sleep, and here he's dying and surrounded by his beloved family members. A very dark cover, and yeah, this is another showcase of Ozzy as a singer. I think he's doing way more than on the albums before, and um, yeah, the songs take advantage from that. I mean, the title track is an absolute classic. I think it's one of the best Sabbath songs. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. A Natural Acrobat is also pretty cool. Sabra Cadabra, Killing Yourself to Live. Spiral Architect, the last song on the album. Um, yeah, it's a doomy album, but there's also lots of things going on in each song. Just a very cool listen. You always hear something else the more you listen to it. My number two is Volume 4. It's their fourth album, of course, no surprise there. And I think of their early ones, this is the strongest one. Yeah, also here a bit longer tracks, more going on in each song. Wheels of Confusion, Tomorrow's Dream, pretty great. And then of course the two classics, Supernaut and Snowblind. The iconic cover. Um, yeah, to me, it's the best song of the Ozzy years. But as I mentioned a couple of times before, it could change. Maybe next week I would say it's Sabotage or another one. I don't know. For now, it's Volume 4, and my number one, ta-da, is More Rules. I think this album, and you already mentioned a couple of things I wanted to say about this. I think this album is, even if you say it's an album of its time, but it's also timeless. I think the it is maybe one of the best sounding metal albums of all time. I think it still sounds totally fresh and immediate and crisp, but not overproduced. Um, and yeah, I think what they promised on Heaven and Hell pays off on this one because I think this one has the stronger songs. Um, Falling Off the Edge of the World, I think The Sign of the Southern Cross is maybe my favorite Black Sabbath song. I think it's totally kick-ass. Turn Up the Night is such a cool straight rocker. The Mob Rules is great. Yeah, I just love this album. I didn't have it. Really didn't listen for it that often in the last 20 years. But then Fenris mentioned it in his podcast. He's a huge fan of this album, and I went back to it, and yeah, I was totally yeah. I was just laying flat on my ass when I listened to it. I think it's just such a great album, and yeah. It's I cannot stress this enough that I think it's amazing how they went from Ozzy to Dio and just did something completely different and succeeding in both styles. And yeah, they did under the Black Sabbath moniker, they did what you usually would need two bands for. I think, or even more when you see how many different things Tony Iommi tried out and all the different faces. And I think that makes this catalog so challenging, but also inspiring and adventurous. You will always find something else. And um, like I said, this list will change over the years, of course. So these are my final four.
Okay. Wow. So my number four is maybe another controversial pick. It is Never Say Die. Not really a beloved album, but I don't know. I really love this late 70s era of them because they you didn't know what to expect. You know, they had left their old sound, and this was kind of an interesting time for rock music anyway. Punk has already happened, and Black Sabbath come up with this title track, and I mean with this album, and I love the title track, "Never Say Die," kind of a punk statement. Even so, they also say you gotta die young. But yeah, it's really a very good album. Great songs. I like the song sung by Bill, "Swinging the Chain." I think it's the last one. I also like the jazzy ones, "Air Dance." I think no, not on this one. No, yeah, I like "Johnny Blade." You mentioned it before. Yeah, I really like this unpredictable, adventurous side of them. And yeah, I mentioned it all before on about technical ecstasy.
It
My
also has a killer drum sound. I love the production on that one.
yes.
Sounds as if you're with them in their rehearsal room or something like that.
Yes, it always sounds fresh, and I mean I like a lot of albums from this era. So yeah, I also love the production. My number three is one of the one of the most interesting albums and diverse albums. It's Volume 4. It is yeah, the first one on which Ozzy really sounds great. I love it has also some very unpredictable songs for that time because the Wheels of Confusion has different parts. The later part sounds like from some spaghetti western, taken from some spaghetti western. Very interesting. Very sounds like a soundtrack, a western soundtrack. Then Tomorrow's Dream is one of my favorite songs. Um, yeah, some really, really great bangers. Supernaut, Cornucopias, Saint Vitus Stain, Under the Sun. It's really great. It's really a great album. I don't know, for some reason I'm not big on Snowblind. I don't know. I think it's this kind of precise. I don't know. I think it's the composition combined with all these vocals. This is something. I don't know. I don't like the song, even though I can I can see that it's a good composition, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's not for me. And I totally dislike changes. I've never liked it. I think I don't like the rhyme scheme. I think the chords are kind of super trivial, and usually I don't like ballads by Ozzy. But yeah, that's maybe just me. A lot of people like it, I know. Yeah, nevertheless, great album and strange production, very strange production, but I think it has a certain unique charm. Yeah, but so my number, I think we're at number two now. Okay, my number two is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, the first one of the kind of prog, hard rock, metal albums. This is really this one has some of their most iconic songs. For example, the title track, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I think the later part is probably their most important song when Ozzy is doing his high scream. This is really, I don't know, if we were there in 75, it must have been wow, one of these wow moments. And it still is a wow moment. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's really a great track. So, and the whole album is great. I love a national acrobat. Sabra Cadabra is a classic, and Killing Yourself to Live is also one of their very, very best songs. I think also Rick Wakeman from Yes is playing on this album, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think prog fans should also give a listen to this, because this has also some very proggy moments, and uh, the music got much more complex than on their first three or four. So let's come to my number one. I think you can guess what it is. It is Sabotage. It has their best production by far, in my opinion. It sounds super crushing. The riffs are excellent. Everything is weaved into each other. Bill Ward is is a dream on every track. It's I love it. I love it to death, really. Hole in the Sky. I love how Hole in the Sky kind of is connected to the second track. It's an acoustic number, and you're immediately in this acoustic world. It's very kind of an unpredictable moment for Sabbath. So it's a very, very interesting journey from track to track here. So they are really on a different level here. Yeah, Symptom of the Universe, you mentioned it. Megalomania, one of their longest songs of the Ozzy era. Also great. Thrill of It All, Super Tsar. They get very artsy on some songs with this weird keyboards they use. I'm also not a fan, as you said, of Am I Going Insane? If they left this out, I think it would be a better album. And otherwise, it's really a masterpiece. I like it a lot, but to be honest, it's really close with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. So, which one that could also be my number one. So, I love both albums, and they are great. And yeah, I have a small I have a preference to Ozzy, but I mean, it's really hard to compare Heaven and Hell or Mob Rules to these Ozzy albums because the music is so different, yeah, and the personality and the aesthetic of Ronnie is so different to Ozzy. So they are really hard to compare. I mean, it's kind of easier to compare Ronnie with Tony Martin. So they are
Yeah.
a bit more similar. And I like Tony Martin a lot, but I think I prefer Dio because his delivery is so on point. Even though Tony Martin can be more subtle in a way. Yeah, Ronnie
Yeah,
is yeah.
you could say that you could say that Black Sabbath invented heavy metal twice in a way. I mean,
Yes,
they together with I know Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, they laid the foundation with their early albums, and then with Dio, they kind of laid the groundwork for what was going to happen in the 80s. I think more polish, more pathos, more theatricality, and Dio was the perfect singer for this kind of style. And then, of course, Tony Martin was building on that. It wasn't so much innovation as kind of staying in that style. But by that point, I think Black Sabbath weren't ahead of the curve anymore. They were just one of the bands doing that, and there were others kind of surpassing them. All those guitar shredders and stuff like that in the hair metal scene and so on. Um, Thrash metal, of course, being even heavier uh, and harder and stuff like that. Yeah, but I think every era has something to offer with Black Sabbath, and you always can find a nugget here and there. So I really enjoyed every album we had to listen to, and so like I said, I don't think they have a bad one. There are
yeah,
some albums that are not quite as good, not quite as innovative, but I mean those Tony Iommi and the other guys around him, whoever they were, obviously were pros. So
yes, yeah. You find good Tony riffs on every album, definitely.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool. So that was our ranking the Black Sabbath albums. I guess there's some cause for discussion here, yeah, controversial discussion. So give us your opinions, give us your lists, tell us your thoughts about our lists or what your favorite albums are. Give us a thumbs up if you like the album, hit subscribe, and yeah, stay tuned for what's about to happen next. Thank you for your time. See you.
bye bye.